Yo, what up? This is Weleh, and you're listening to Ambiance podcast.
Most definitely. We could just roll right into it, man. We got Weleh Dennis, a designer and the owner of Kids of Immigrants, or founder of Kids of Immigrants, co-founder, right?
For sure.
Yeah. Based in Los Angeles, but you're not from Los Angeles, right? You're from the Bay Area?
No, I'm originally from Sacramento.
Okay, is that where you're born and raised?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Bay Area. Oh, I guess not Bay Area boy. So
up and down. Like I played basketball, so a lot of like playing basketball in Sacramento, Fairfield, all the way up to San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley. That was like the whole basketball stomping grounds.
Really? So basketball is big out there.
For me, it was.
For you,
yeah.
okay.
I feel like everything's big. There's a culture. There's a culture for everything out there, but for me specifically, basketball was like what connected me to Sacramento.
So you were more into basketball before you were into your art, would you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was always creative. I always liked. I mean, I don't even know. I feel like all people are creative. I hate that whole like story of like being this special person. Not to demystify what I do, but just like I'm a real tangible person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, we do a little bit of everything, but basketball was my thing. And I always kind of drew on the side, like whether it was like my mom, I always made cards and shit for holidays and stuff. And my mom was like really like would gas me about it. Like, oh, really? I love it. And I think from that, I just really liked making stuff because it made her happy.
That's important too. Like the fact that your mom embraced, even at a young age, you making birthday cards and whatnot, because it gives you confidence at a young age. And that's important when you're young, is like to have that confidence, because it's your parents, like they're going to have the biggest impact on you as far as just like your growth at that young age. So even her just giving you some, gassing you up on something like that is important, right?
Yeah, my mom is my mom, my dad, honestly, my family, like everybody in my families, they've never really told me not to do anything. There may have been some fear of the unknown, it's like new territory, or like, my dad used to be a creative, and like that was like an interesting journey for him, like a real.
What kind of creative?
He did architecture and graphic design.
Okay.
So when he was in Liberia, he worked for like one of the biggest like architecture firms, and then ended up coming over here, sent for my mom. And then when he came over here, he was still doing architecture a little bit, but what he was experiencing like a lot of racism. So he just kind of got out of that field and eventually went into doing graphic design at the state capitol. So like the assembly bills and laws and rules and all the stuff you'd see hanging with the gold, what do you call that? Like molding, like on the frame.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like my dad used to do those by hand.
Wow.
Print them out or work with the print shop. And
damn.
Yeah, and then eventually he ended up turning into a mailman.
Would you say that had an influence on you, like just growing up and experiencing, being exposed to his art?
Yeah, because even him not practicing it per se, like architecture, I mean, my earliest memories, I mean, still to this day, I just went home like a couple weeks back, and he always has, his little table, probably a little bowl of rice and soup, and he's just drawing houses or sketching something, or he's always drawing.
Do you see that in yourself? Like at this age, like you have your own form of that, right?
For sure. I don't think I'm drawing, but I'm doing my own type of drawing, whether it's like looking at clothes or shapes or colors, like, or textures, like, and then how those things manifest is a little bit different, because I don't really draw as much now. But yeah, I for sure I see it in myself.
You have your own like different form of it, right?
Yeah.
That's tight. So at this young age, when you're growing up in Sacramento, what were some of your early influences back then? What were you looking up to, and what were some of your early influences?
Honestly, basketball was everything to me.
Really?
Yeah, just like it was my I tell people it was like my gateway to like the life my parents couldn't my parents gave me that life per se, but it was like if I wanted to travel somewhere or like, go to camps and certain things or certain places, it was like basketball took me there, just teams wanting me to play for them or doing like junior championships and shit like that. Like, basketball was my thing.
It allowed you to experience like other things, but really you just wanted to play basketball.
I really just wanted to hang out with friends, and I like the culture of basketball, like what it encompassed, like hip hop and just like style and like the human form. Like I think I'm aesthetic of the human form is really something I like. So it's like
it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, super dynamic, and then just the attitude with it. Iverson,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Sprewell.
There were a lot of characters back then.
Yeah.
Rodman, yeah.
Yeah, Dennis Rodman, all of them, like Scottie Pippen. Like I was a big basketball head. It's transitioned out, but yeah, basketball really it played a huge part. It still does, even in the creative, like how to work with a team and so on and so forth. Like,
that's what I was gonna ask you too. Like, if there's any qualities that you take with you today from being an athlete in your, I don't say previous life, it's the same life, but like, you know what I mean? You seem you used to be an athlete, so like, are there any qualities that you take with you with yourself today?
I like one thing I learned. I like the process, so I like practice.
It taught you a lot to want the process, right?
Yeah, I think the repetition and understanding like what it takes to be good playing basketball. I think that's what I carry over to anything I try to do. Like, with art, it was just like it sounds funny, but in my mind, I didn't want to be mediocre. In my own mind, like to what I believe was good, mediocre, so on and so forth. Like, I really just didn't want to be like regular at it. So I really obsessed about it.
Okay.
Whether it's like sleepless nights or not going to the club or not talking or hanging out.
Sacrifices.
Yeah, sacrifice was everything, and it felt valid.
Yeah, I can relate to that, man, because I was an athlete my whole life. I played football, obviously a little bit of a different world, but I played all the way throughout college, and the qualities that it instills in you moving forward is just like priceless. You know what I mean? Because the work ethic, like you said, the ambition, the sacrifices, it all carries with you. And like, there's a reason why a lot of student athletes end up becoming like successful in their life, because that all those qualities were like drilled into them from a young age.
For sure. Yeah. I would say I miss basketball, but I don't.
You don't? Do you ever go to like the rec, or do you just like run five sometimes?
Nah. It's wild. I feel like I kind of basketballed myself out. And like while I was playing basketball, I really liked like snowboarding and skateboarding and surfing and like all those things, because whether it's playoffs or, summer camps, like I couldn't do any of it. And I think that like I just always felt like I was making up for time with that. Like,
yeah, that makes sense. I feel like the same way kind of about football. I feel like I burnt myself out. Like because when you were playing the sport, it's just like you live, breathe, and die by that sport. So it's kind of like you let it all out. You know what I mean?
That's why I tell people, it's not like I don't want to, like, I understand the camaraderie it brings, like by playing basketball with the homies nowadays, but it's just, I rather get it through like bikes or fishing or art, like just things that I'm into at this moment.
Yeah, and it's taking that ambition and that passion that you had for that sport at one time, you kind of just translated it over to what you do now, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's tight. So when you were playing basketball, is that what brought you to the Art Institute of San Francisco? Because I know that's where you went to school, right?
What brought me there was actually art. So I went to a school in Santa Rosa, junior college. When I was there, the goal was to like go there and then transfer, but I just went there and I fell in love with like skateboarding and art, and started taking like a fashion design class, fashion illustration class, and I was taking an art class, and the two ladies that taught those classes, they encouraged me to come back, and I think that relates back to my mom, like, older female, impressed with like the work and the things that I was doing. It just kind of made me want to come back and be better at it, and eventually it just took me into. She's like, yeah, after my second year there, it's like, oh yeah, you should think about transferring to, a school, like an art school, like a fashion school. There's Academy of Art in San Francisco.
Wow, that's cool that she encouraged you to do that, because I feel like a lot of counselors out there are like, no, we're like, you need to pick more of like a quote unquote common.
Well, no, she's my teacher.
Oh, she was a teacher. Okay,
it was the fashion illustration teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, she just encouraging me. I was like at the time, I think it was a 2000. I want to say 2005.
Oh, a minute ago.
Yeah, so a while ago. She just kind of told me there was an opportunity for you.
Okay.
If you really like this, you're coming back. It seems like you like it. I was transitioning out of playing basketball. So at the time I was skateboarding a lot. I had met some friends that's what I got into. And yeah, I was just trying to figure my way. Like after she had said that, I was trying to figure out how do I get to San Francisco?
Yeah.
Cause like I didn't have any money to like, and make that transition to the city. So
it's expensive in the city.
Yeah, super expensive. And that school is super expensive. It's a private institution. So it's like, I was already thinking like, how am I going to get the student loan and all these different things. But God works crazy because like when I went there, so I do all my stuff and I have it's not like, I didn't have like a real portfolio, but the stuff I had accumulated over time at the junior college and showed them. And randomly or maybe not so random, but at that time, that school had just been sanctioned for Division II basketball.
Oh,
meaning
wow.
like they could give scholarships. Like it was like
what were they before?
They weren't anything.
Oh, they weren't anything?
They didn't have any team. So it was like, that's wild how things aligned. It was like transfer, want to go to this school.
That same year too.
That same moment.
That's
like
crazy.
Literally when I went for that interview, I was going to go back to get to the bank on that next day to like get the loan. But during that interview, after they had like, I showed them all my work, she was like, oh yeah, like you should meet the athletic director. Because when she's asking, she's like, oh yeah, we have a school. She was selling us on the school and like the curriculum. And then like at the end, she was like, yeah, we have a basketball program too. It's going to be big and da-da-da-da. And my mom's ears perked up because my mom was with me. And she was like, my mom heard me. She's like, yeah, my son could play. He's good. You know, he was ranked. And that, so like, she's like, oh yeah, let me introduce you to the athletic director. Went and talked to him. They looked up at the stuff I had done, invited me back. At the time, they had like the recruits that they had at the time playing in the men's league. So I go out there like, I think like 3 weeks later or a month later and played. And after like the first half, I got a scholarship.
Wow,
like
the first half?
Yeah, the coach was like, yo.
You even need to see the second half.
Which was fire. That was cool because I hadn't played in so long. Like I had been in this, like, I'm in this art, creative, like skateboard, smoking weed, you know, like mode. And then like when I got that opportunity, I remember going back home, working out. My brother worked me out a little bit. And then I went and played that game. And I for the life of me, I couldn't make a layup. That was what was so funny. But even with that, they still gave me a scholarship. So I was like, okay, you know, this is why basketball was put in my life to actually, you know, get me. Maybe that was the key for me to get to this art.
Look at God, man. That's crazy.
God is amazing.
So that was your ticket, your golden ticket into the school, because you wanted to go there for the art, but like you said, you didn't know how to financially make it work out. And God drops a blessing on your lap like that.
Wild. Yeah, that's why, you know, I try not to fight the funk, bro. It's just go with the flow.
Go with the flow.
Because it's all there. I really feel like I manifested that too. Just with my mom and just where I was at. I really wanted the art thing, and, you know, not to say like, but yeah, God works in mysterious ways.
Definitely. Okay, so you're at the Art Institute now. What type of experiences did you have there, and how important was that for your growth?
Well, at the Academy of Art. You're good. My experience again was like looking at basketball as like connecting with people, but also too like how does that balance? Like it became more of a job. It felt like a 9-to-5 because I was there for art, but I felt like I had to come to this sport to pay for the art that I was getting. Mm-hmm. So that was more my thing. So it was even like, you know, trying to learn how to draft a pattern, but then like you guys have games in Hawaii, which, you know, I wasn't complaining about. Hawaii is amazing, but it's like it's hard coming back into school almost a month after and trying to catch up with people, because that type of work isn't so much about cramming, you know, knowledge. It's actually about repetition, like, you know, draping, drawing, drafting, sewing. Like you have to it's a repetitive thing,
and it takes time. Yeah,
so trying to catch up to people that have been working a month on a project. I think that's what I had a little bit of some struggle with, but, you know, I figured it out. I had a teacher that again saw something in me, helped me get through, whether it was tutoring, whether it was like, you know, I would spend days where I'm like 12, 14-hour days at school. That's how I knew I loved it though. Yeah. Was like, I could easily go 12 hours, 14 hours at school, eating one time, and like, then come home and like not sleep, you know? It's just like, cause I felt like I was playing catch up. Because again, it's that obsessive, like, I want to be good at this. I don't want to just do it and just like feel good that I'm doing it. I really want to like have this be a thing that I could bring change to my own family's life. Because a lot of it too was like, after playing basketball, I always told my mom I was gonna buy her a house playing ball. And the fact that I couldn't play ball, I remember that being like a really like sad moment for me, of like that whole like dream of buying my mom a house like that.
Because you thought you couldn't do it anymore, right?
Yeah, through basketball, it was just not, that was not gonna happen.
Right.
So yeah, I kind of put that into like, okay, if I'm gonna commit to this and I'm telling people I want to do this, like, let me not like waste this time.
Yeah.
And so that's why I just started going super ham with the art. And I loved it, honestly. Like, just something in me that really wanted to create, and I always felt like I was playing catch up. So that obsessive nature of just wanting to get better and understanding that repetition would get me better, I felt like, you know, devoting my time to it, I could get to that destination of at least understanding the tools like faster.
And that's a really different type of student athlete schedule. Because being a student athlete is technically almost like a job in itself. You know what I mean? Because it's the hours you got to put in just to be better at your sport, and then your schoolwork. But the fact that your schoolwork is like your creative passion too is just different, because most student athletes at like a traditional school, they have like a business major or something like that, where it's just like you kind of do the homework, you leave it there. But like you said, this different type of like art takes repetition, it takes time. So it's like your days are a lot longer, because you kind of have like almost 3 different jobs. You know what I mean? You got student athlete, you got your schoolwork you got to do, and then you got like when you're at the art academy, do you have like GEs that you got to take, or how does that work too? You still got to have the GEs you have to take. Okay.
And then you got just the major. But as just hearing you say that though, is like the thing about school that it was hard that I was coming back in and I had to like try to catch up in terms of repetition on the sewing machine and drawing. But one thing I did learn after coming out of school is like understanding the people was something that I wasn't really getting in school. Like, you're getting the craft, but how does the craft connect with the people? You know, and I think that's a big thing that people need to know. Like, so although I wasn't in school learning that, I still had that nature of like trying to connect the dots of like colors and, you know, whether this jersey and people in Hawaii dress this way. And, you know, like just like trying to like consciously look at the cultures you're involved with at the time, and then how does that translate into the work? You know? So although I was coming back 3 weeks late into a class, or 4 weeks, you know, a month late, I was coming back with a lot of inspiration.
Right.
And that's how I looked at it. You know, like, it's like, yeah, the reps aren't there, but what to do once the reps get there is like instilled in me now, because I've connected with this older lady in Hawaii, and she's super like empathetic to like situations and smiles about everything, and then like that translates into the work, you know. Because I'm not just looking at a Vogue magazine and then trying to you know, repeat what I'm seeing in Vogue. I'm actually like trying to create.
Experiencing
you
in
know,
life.
And that's what goes into how I design now. It's like, it's not really so much from like building a mood board from, you know, just Google or Tumblr or even just the library. It's more so like going out into the world and like looking at people, engaging with people, and then what does that look like with clothes and colors and shapes and textures and all that stuff.
With that being said, did you find challenges during this whole quarantine and COVID time? Because if you experience things that way and you get inspiration that way, with being kind of like stuck up in the house, how do you find inspiration with that type of process?
Well, it's wild. The thing about COVID was I already am like a hermity type person at this moment. So it didn't really change me too much. The only thing I think that changed was like not seeing my family as much, but then now we talk more. So I guess that it didn't really change me that much. And like, honestly, like I come from more of an empathetic perspective, especially when it comes to creativity. So I felt like a lot of people, although we weren't hanging out, a lot of people were reaching out and like just like, you know, being vulnerable. And I'm blessed that they felt like they could be vulnerable to me. But I had so many discussions about like what life is. You know, I think
With your friends?
Yeah, just with my friends, with people, just people I didn't even know, people that just supported like my craft and my process through Instagram or Facebook or anything like that.
So those type of conversations kind of fueled your.
Yeah, I live in that.
Okay.
Me and my partner, co-founder Daniel Buezo, like that's all we do. Like we built a whole company off of our conversations about trying to be better people, trying to be positive, trying to connect with people. Like we really wanted to make love cool, and like
Yeah.
um it is the vehicle is the clothes and the art, but the target and the goal is the people, and like how does that connect, how can we uplift and like try to change like the people.
Yeah, for sure. I have so many questions about Kids of Immigrants for sure. But
Yeah.
I wanna kind of work our way up to
No,
there.
for
So
sure.
when you were at the art academy, you mentioned before, like off camera, that you worked at Zoomies. When you were at the art academy, did you have a job as well?
So
Was that the
I
same?
actually worked at Zoomies when I was at the junior college.
Okay.
uh and that was huge for me because that was my first like retail like clothing, skate, all the stuff I really wanted. And I worked there because again, I was trying to skateboard at that time, and like it's hard to find friends that skate and it be an authentic connection when you're just out there and you don't really know the culture. So me working at Zoomies was me getting it like introduced to the culture of skateboarding. Um, whether it was working, whether it was understanding product knowledge, whether it was understanding like what these corporate companies were doing and like how to be a part of those things, like Vans Warped Tour and all these different
Yeah.
things. I just working there was a huge like it just a temperature check to that culture.
And you met some people, obviously some skaters there probably
Yeah,
when you were working
yeah,
there.
yeah. I mean, I met a lot of people there, whether skate, BMX, moto. I mean, everything. Like, and the funniest thing again, it was what I found interesting was being able to connect with those people, but them not being from a basketball culture or like, you know, basketball culture, but like having too many similarities. Like that felt like my brother, you know?
Yeah, that's tight because usually like athletes kind of stick to that clique of friends, or it's just like you guys live the same lifestyle, so it's easy to be in that type of realm. But to expose yourself to different types of cultures, I feel like is important because it helps you grow as a person because you're not just like stuck to one type of lifestyle, if that makes sense. Because you're exposed to two lifestyles at that point: the skate culture, the athlete culture, design culture at the art institute. So it's dope that you got to experience that like at a young age too.
Yeah, yeah. Just, I mean, coolness comes in all shapes and forms. So I'm not gonna sit here and like, you know, like yeah, pick and choose what I like. It's just
Yeah,
if based on what this looks like and who this is. It's like if I feel it, it's a vibe. Like let's connect, let's grow.
I love it. So after you worked at Zoomies, I know you worked a multitude of different types of jobs, especially in the fashion industry. What were some of the other jobs that you worked?
I worked at Zoomies, and then from Zoomies I worked at Vans, and then I went back to playing basketball. So after those were the two jobs, then I ended up transitioning back into working, going to school and playing basketball. Then when I got out of school, I worked for Zara at the flagship in San Francisco, which that was a huge like learning lesson for me. And then from there, working, meeting people, I had a homegirl that I ended up like talking to that she was like, "Oh, I'm about to get this job at Louis Vuitton." I was like, "At the store?" She was like, "Nah, like at the
Corporate?
at corporate, like in the building, like it's the sell at doing their sales." And so I was like, "Oh yeah." So I went there. That was like a life-changing experience because it like that opened my mind up to like heritage and like value and like luxury and all these different words. Like I didn't know what that was. Like when I looked at Louis Vuitton before, I just thought it was like, oh, that's a brand that rich people buy,
Yeah.
But like what connected me with that company was like the ethos of the brand, like Louis Vuitton himself, like understanding the craft and how he was able to modify things and build a business from a craft. Like, yeah, there's just it felt much more connecting than the store itself. And that's what I really wanted to bring once I started seeing that side of it. And then after working at Louis, I worked at Diesel, and it was the same thing. The founder, Renzo, and just understanding like that, I was like, that I'm more that type of person. I'm more the person that likes the idea of connecting and doing these different things, as opposed to like, being on trend and like, being the cool brand. It's like being a brand with like an actual meaning and substance and give back to like uplift people was like, I felt like the beginning of those brands. I'm not gonna say they're not there anymore, but like, that's how I felt when I dove deeper into those companies.
Yeah. And would you say working at Diesel and Louis Vuitton on that in the role that you did, whether it was sales or I'm not sure what you
Yeah,
did at Diesel?
it was sales. It was sales and retail. Like even the styling at Diesel that's more retail based. But again, that's coming from a design perspective. I didn't know it, but I think again, the way God aligns things is like that was the second step of understanding like the business of clothes or fashion. Was like it's cool to be in the lab creating these beautiful like silhouettes with all these beautiful textiles, but like how does that translate to make someone want to buy it, and to have it be like a thing that someone wants to go into their closet and wear it as like a piece of them, like expressing like who they are.
Yeah, and I love how organic this journey is because we talked a little bit about this off camera, but you didn't really set out like when you started working at Zoomies, like, all right, I'm gonna work at Zoomies, I'm gonna work at Vans, I'm gonna work at Louis Vuitton, Diesel, because one day I'm gonna be a designer and I'm gonna need to know all these things. It's like you work these jobs and then you're a designer now, and all these different types of jobs serve you in what you do now, right? And I love how organic that happened for you.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the placements at those jobs was. They were helping me understand something that like it was the only way I was going to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I have to work for somebody to understand this, because I don't think there's anything wrong with working for somebody when you have a purpose. I even worked at an art store. Like,
oh really?
I forgot to tell you about that.
Okay.
But it's like even like everything I was doing, I think I was doing with a purpose. Like I wanted to work at Zoomies for a reason. I didn't just want to work there because it was the job.
Yeah.
I really wanted to work there because I was going to get the discount. That was going to get me, at the time, crew jeans. I don't know if you remember.
No, those were popping.
Yeah, so I was like,
sure.
I was learning about all that. So it was like, okay, if I want to be in this culture, this is the best way to be in this culture. Everyone who's coming through is part of it.
It's your foot in the door.
Yeah. So that's one thing I like telling people is like, if you're going to work, just make sure where you're working is helping you get to a goal. Like, even if it's a far out there goal, you want to own your own business, understanding that what can you take from this business that's going to help you get closer to that step of like overall understanding of how do I create something that I can live off of.
Right. Yeah. It's like if you want to be a chef, like you're probably not going to want to go work at like Gap or something. Like you go work at Chipotle, or something that's like in that industry. Like you can use that later in life, kind of like you did with your journey, right?
Exactly. And it's school. Mm-hmm. To an extent, it's school. I think experience outside of the classroom is potent and it's like it's super necessary to like having a good understanding of people.
Yeah. Something I want to touch on is that full circle moment that you had with Vans, right? Because you guys did a collab with them for Kids of Immigrants, but you worked at that store back in your JUCO days. Mm-hmm. So how special was that for you? And talk about the feelings you had with that full circle moment.
For me, it was wild. Again, it's like, it's just seeing God working in my life in multiple ways and being open to God being able to work, the universe being able to work with me. So, I mean, when we did that, honestly, it felt good, but it felt more like okay, this is the moment. Because I remember when I graduated from school, I was like, how do I work at a company like this? Like, how do I work at any company? I remember graduating and like not knowing how to get a design job.
Oh, like as a designer.
As a designer, and like understanding that like I had applied, I didn't get the job, which is okay. But my understanding is like more so like I couldn't work in those parameters because what I was learning was new to a system. Like it's interesting to see like the clothing industry, like the topics and the graphics that are used nowadays is to see it change, and I really felt like I was a part of that change. Like honestly,
Really?
yeah, and not to. I feel like I try not to say it like in an ego way because it wasn't about the ego. It's just about like feeling I was in a landscape that wasn't about just joy of like the human being. This like a celebration of the human being. It was more like an exclusive like party that you had to do certain things to get into.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, and I wasn't part of that party. I'm not. But understanding that there is for sure real estate in that landscape. And it just needed to be more connected. And I think again, like even the term Kids of Immigrants was something that was more a connecting thing. It's like when everyone hears the term Kids of Immigrants, you think about where you're from, but the fact that you think about where you're from is what's connecting you to everyone else, because everyone's thinking about where they're from, but we're all in this melting pot called America.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was again this kind of like trying to like connect people, but it not just being like this obvious connection. Like you have to, I think there's like subtle ways to like get people to like certain things. Like positivity wasn't a cool thing in fashion when we were starting. I remember working at, this is the later part after fashion, working at the art store. Working at an art store, coming from fashion and retail, I really wanted to do something that dealt with like an immediacy of like trying to engage with the culture of fashion or art. And like not only just like the differences of like people, but also the differences of your connection to the craft. And like working at the art store, it allowed me to tap into seeing other people, like, because from fashion I really wanted to do art, and I felt like the fashion that I was into, it came from artists like someone like a designer like Margiela, and like he's more an artist to me. And trying to understand like how do I, like, because I saw that as an avenue in fashion, like that was a way that I could connect with it, and going into art was something that I could use as a vehicle to go into a place like a Salvation Army, take clothes, reconstruct them, deconstruct them, and then give it to any artist, and they wear it on stage, and it's like seen as like super fashion.
Because that's your pocket, right?
Yeah, I mean like that's how it started. It's developed into more things. I think it's developed more into an upcycling lifestyle. But yeah, that's essentially where I sit for the most part. Is like, it's a mix of fashion, the understanding of like pattern drafting and stuff like that, but then also coming into the real world and what people would consider streetwear, so hoodies, t-shirts, and how do those mix? And how do kids, like, what's the culture that comes out of that for people like myself? Like a lot of one-on-ones, like a lot of like things that are moments or substance-filled products and things that you could give to people. Yeah, I feel like I went on a super tangent right now.
No, I loved it because you were going somewhere from stemming from that question about the Vans collaboration. Yeah. But no,
that's where we started, was the Vans collaboration.
Yeah. No, but I loved where you were going with that. And do you feel like, I don't want to say nervous, but charting like untraditional territories like you do, how do you feel about that? Does that like scare you, or like not knowing how something like you're doing now is gonna work out? Like, talk about that.
It scared me at first, more so because people always came at it with like a financial gain, like if you do this, like how much money you're gonna make from this. And like my whole thing was like, I still to this day say it, but I'm not really like a money person. And like I used to feel a little bit like weird about that. Like, am I like just saying this as like an excuse or all these different things? But I'm not, because I'm really driven by the feeling and like what the things I can do and how I could give it to people and how that makes them feel.
Right.
Like, I truly feel like if I can become really good at making people feel really good, there will be ways that I can create a life that I want to live, because hopefully I'm giving value to people, and that value is given back to me in a way that I can sustain, like have a house, have a car. And I'm not asking for like the craziest house or the craziest car. The things that I value is like, if anything, I like land. Like I would love to move my parents to a farm.
Wow.
Like I would love myself to just like move out of the city and travel more into the city. You know, time is like my most valuable thing. I would spend way more time with my family.
Yeah.
You know,
Are all these values things that you had to grow into, or have you always had these type of values, or have they changed
I did.
throughout time?
I felt like I had to grow into them and I had to understand them more because the
Okay.
culture I was coming from was valuing like more the glitz and the glams of things. And that, I don't want to say that's not me, but it's not really the focus I wanted. The focus I really wanted was just joy, bro. I'm just like a happy person, you know, and I really want to stay in a happy or a joyous place, you know. Even just since I was a kid, bro, I just wanted to play.
You just want to play.
Yeah, bro, I want to be outside, like. But I think like as we grow older, sometimes there's like traditional societal things that make you become, you know, much more. It takes you away from that joy, you know, and it's validated by saying this is what it feels like to be a grown up or a man, and like
Because it's part of like growing up.
yeah, like even like people just telling me like, you know, like me doing art is like, it's not a thing, you know. It's not like oh, of course you're gonna be an artist. It's like, no, of course you're gonna be a basketball player. And when I stopped playing basketball, it's like life is over at that point, you know. Even still to this day, like my parents support me, but there is that still that fear. Like when my dad, I just went home and we just, like you just said, we had a van shoe drop, and my dad's like, you know, are you okay? Like, should I help? You know, we could look for a job if you want, you know. It's like, and it's not like a bad thing, because I don't take it as like a bad thing, but it's like art is not like a thing, or it's hard to see it as a business.
Yeah, lucrative.
Yeah, and for me, my value isn't from how much money I'm getting. It's like how many people I'm affecting.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Mm-hmm.
and I truly felt like doing a thing like Kids of Immigrants, because it wasn't about money, was hard to see it as a thing. You know, like it's cool to see people be like, man, like that name is crazy, like, and like the clothes and all this stuff is cool. But it's like, believe me when I tell you, bro, I was working at the art store and I was making $400, $400 every 2 weeks.
Wow.
And like, I remember after the first month, someone told me where I could get shirts. The homie John that I was working with at the art store, he's telling me where I could get shirts, and then he was telling me where I could get them printed. And I remember it was going to be $200 to get that and taken. So that's half of my, that's half of everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, and like I was paying the car and then try to get food and go in these places. So it's like money was already skimp, and it's like I put it into this, and the first graphic I wanted was love. It was just love on a t-shirt, which is the love you see on
Kids of
everything
Immigrants.
Kids of Immigrants now. And I remember like making that shirt, and like when I made it, I was like, I was hoping for like a joyous, like, yo, like that shirt's fire, like you made the shirt. But it, like, to almost everyone I knew for the most part, like they just didn't get it. You know, like, because at that time that love was not something people are talking about. That's why I think it's interesting.
Cool. Yeah.
No. You don't put love on a shirt. You're not putting like.
Wait. What time was this?
This is
you
like
did that?
2015, 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to say like 2016, like the end of 2015.
That's funny, man. So like it just, people weren't ready for it yet.
No, I just don't think people were in a place of wanting to be vulnerable and like wanting to connect in that way.
Okay.
You know, like I remember at the time it was much more like a darker tone to like, especially in fashion, where it was more like gothic and like emotional, like a dark emotion, and it's super beautiful. But you know, at the time, I wanted something that was going to uplift me. Again, I like being in a frequency of joy,
Yeah.
and like uplift. So that was something I wasn't seeing, and the love shirt was like the beginning of it for us, you know, and bringing it to my brother, my friend Danny, and like us talking about that consistently every day, like became something where I was able to tie the craft with the culture. You know, the culture that we were trying to give was like any like everything you see in the clothes, anything is possible, love, support your friends, like all those things are like things that you you never hear that from any fashion company.
Nah,
Like,
you definitely
and
don't.
and I look at a lot of stuff, and like that, I could tell you right now, there was no company doing any of that. So that's why when I'm telling you, it's like, it's cool to see it. I don't want to be like, oh, I did it myself, but I truly felt at that time I did not see anyone or anything trying to portray like the immigrant story.
And the fact that you don't care about the money allows you to release stuff like this, because if you were about the money, the fact that it may not work out from a money standpoint would have blocked you from even trying it in the first place or releasing it, right?
Yeah, you know, many people were like asking for a business plan, but it's like, how do you have a business plan for something you're not seeing in the market?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true.
I don't like, I can't tell you what it's gonna be like in 5 years.
Because it hasn't been
Like,
done.
I'm showing you love right now. You don't get what love on a t-shirt means right now.
Yeah.
And you think I'm gonna be able to write a 5-10 year business plan about where this is gonna go? Like,
Yeah.
no. Like, you haven't even accepted who you are and where you're at, your own vulnerabilities, your own flaws. And I can't expect you to understand like where this is gonna go. But I felt it, and my brother felt it, and we felt the need to go for it, you know. And it's beautiful to see people doing it now, and to see companies like Ambiance or, you know, multiple other companies. But yeah, I still remember when it wasn't like the cool thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool to see that love is cool and acceptance is cool and vulnerability is cool. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely, bro. I love that. So since we're on the topic of Kids of Immigrants, talk about how that birthed, because you moved from San Francisco to LA. Is that when
Oakland. I moved from Oakland.
Oh, you moved from Oakland to LA.
Because at the time I was living in Oakland, and I was commuting into the city to work at Blick Art Materials on Market Street.
Interesting. I did that too myself. I lived in Oakland and commuted to San Francisco. I worked there for a year, but I did that because obviously cost of living a little bit lower.
Exactly.
Oakland, yeah.
Exactly. Same.
Love
No,
Oakland.
same. I was trying to buy a house at that time. You know, I'm trying to do things. But yeah.
Yeah. Oakland's amazing, man. They got so much culture, and it's a beautiful place. First Fridays.
Yeah.
Love First Fridays.
Exactly. Yeah, Oakland was a really good place. A lot of stuff happened with me there too.
Really?
It's hard to like, because I've never really talked with anyone about this. There's so many things as you're talking that like I could fill in. So that's why I'm like trying not to go too hard, because it's a lot.
Yeah, I could imagine so, bro. The journey is crazy. Like if we were to talk about your journey, we could be here literally all day, I'm sure.
Oh,
like
facts.
That.
Facts. We come back tomorrow and still be going.
I have a part 2 or some shit. But
right?
But yeah, all right, so you moved from Oakland to LA.
Mm-hmm.
Did you already know Daniel, the co-founder, or before moving to LA?
Yeah, we actually met in San Francisco through a mutual friend of ours, really good friend actually, just like a brother again, David Ali. He saw 2 friends that would get along, and he was right. He's right. I met him. We connected. They ended up moving out to LA. I stayed in the Bay, working at the art store. But he would still come back and visit me when I was working at the art store and living in Oakland. Like, I remember I have like my thumb is like messed up because I slipped my tendon. What do you call it? I ruptured my joint and slipped my tendons.
Doing what?
Washing dishes.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're going hard on the dishes.
Bruh, I wasn't even going hard. It was like warm water and sharp edged porcelain is just like, it's
okay.
Accident waiting to happen. So I was washing and pushed, and it just cut my shit super bad. But he at that time, he was out here, drove me to the store, or drove me to the hospital, got stitches and all that stuff, got surgery. But yeah, that's off tangent. But yeah, we've been knowing each other for years before we started Kids of Immigrants. We talked about it though before. Like, I remember the first day I met him, David had told me, he's like, "Oh, come meet my friend that I was telling you about." And I got off work, walked down to, I think like they were living on like Harrison or something in San Francisco, and like met him, and we just connected immediately. Like, just with upbringing, background. He's from Honduras. His parents are from Honduras. My parents are from Liberia.
You're literally Kids of Immigrants.
Literally, but like, again, it was like being from different places, but having such similar like upbringings and morals and like understandings and life direction.
Right.
You know, like I feel like we're on like a like we're going in the same direction of life, and it just works really well because we don't judge each other on things. So all that was there, but being from different places was huge. That was like one of these like moments where I'm like, okay, I see it already, but it's like connecting now.
Yeah, for sure. So at what point and what year did you guys start Kids of Immigrants, and what birthed like the actual decision to like launch the brand?
So I eventually moved out here in 2015, November. And he was going on tour with David and Kaylani, but we were always talking.
For what was he going on tour? Like, what did he do?
He was tour managing.
Oh, he's tour managing.
Yeah,
okay, I got you.
He's tour managing for Kaylani, and like that's my brother. So we talk, and like I was talking with all my friends this way. Like I have like a real close knit pocket of like friends that, you know, no matter how long we don't go with talking, when we talk like about where we've been and like where we're at, both mentally and physically.
Wow, that's
and
amazing.
So like we always had that connection of talking. He would tell me where he's at, you know, doing the tour stuff, or, you know, when I first moved out here, before they went on tour, they were at a house, and I would just go there and hang out, and they're doing like Sticks. He does graphic design.
Yeah, I've heard of him actually. He does like
fire.
Yeah,
fire,
he's really good
fire
at what he does.
artist, fire creative. But I was just going there and hanging out with him. Long story, he actually went to the same college as me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we know
Art Academy.
Yeah, we knew another mutual homie.
Sheesh.
But he was doing that, and then when he would come back, I was like, I had made those shirts, and
I love shirts.
Yeah, but then I was also like going to like the thrift store. There's a Salvation Army on Pico near Alvarado that Danny lived by, and so I would go there, and like this is at a time where it's like I didn't have enough bread to like make a fashion show, but I obviously come from a fashion background, so like what I would do was like I would have like my understanding was like to have these like t-shirts with the screen print, but then it was DTG is digital print at the time.
Yeah.
And then like have these like more like avant-garde like found items, more like what I would consider showpieces. Because again, like one of my biggest inspirations is like Martin Margiela and like, you know, Ray Kawakubo, like those type of people. So it was interesting to like tie like those two things together. And then like obviously talking with D, he would bring stuff, he would take it on tour, he would wear it, you know. And so that was always his thing. He always, from day one when we first met, I was making leather bags, and like when he got a job, he would wear the leather bags because the store is that opening ceremony. He would wear like the leather bags I would make, and just like
tight.
Get people familiar with like what I was making, you know. And like I looked at it as he was fulfilling his craft, which is, I believe his craft is connecting with people and like empathizing with just the culture and people and like just life. And mine is his is connecting directly with people. Mine is connecting through the craft that I've like.
They're parallel though.
Yeah, but we're both necessary, and so yeah, it's just that's why the marriage is like very unique, but it just makes sense because it's like no one's trying to step into anyone else's lane, and if we do, it's more an explanation. You know, like because we have so much love for each other. You know, there's no malicious intent. It's always like a misunderstanding. That's how I see when we don't see eye to eye. It's me not understanding, and I know it's him not understanding me, and it's hard to understand me. As you can tell, my brain's all over the place. So it's like, I also really appreciate that with him is like, he truly understands me. And if he doesn't, he understands ways to work with me. And I do the same for him, you know.
It's a good partnership,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Because having another person who, I feel like you guys probably still have like the same vision, but like maybe ways that you execute it may be different, which is okay. And the fact that you guys are both so open-minded is probably extremely important, right? And also too, on a different note, do you guys have like weaknesses and strengths where you guys kind of fill in for the other person? Because I feel like that's important too. Like, if you have a maybe a weakness in a certain area, he kind of picks up the slack for that.
Oh, fully.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Everything that he does is like, I tell him every day, like, he's amazing at what he does, you know, like, and he does a lot. And I do a lot, but again, it's like understanding that both the sides we're coming from are both valid. We need each other,
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
and then also too, like as we have each other, it grows. And so we have Debbie and Christian as also part of KOI. And you know, again, it's like family delegating tasks that need to be done to get to the overall goal.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think you're hard to understand, bro, by the way.
I feel like I am, because in my head I'm like jumping around. I'm like, oh, like I'm a crazy dude, bro. Like,
really,
I just like fun. Like I'm still a kid. Like even as old as I am, bro, I feel like a kid, bro. I always feel like I'm gonna feel like a kid, because I look at my dad now and like the way that man can make people smile and like the simplicity of life. Like I think I understood, like as I grow older and like working for these jobs, Louis Vuittons and shit, it's like the word luxury had a different understanding for me at that time to what I see now. Like now luxury is simplicity. Like it's like understanding how to do what you want to do with the time you have. Because all we have is time.
Yeah.
I think time is the most valuable thing ever.
Can't get it back.
No, it's in like resources are the most valuable thing ever. Honestly, like and I didn't understand how to articulate that, but now as I get older, it's like, oh, I don't even really, I know why I never liked talking about money. It's because I felt like money was like the middleman to like I want the resource. The resource brings me value. It allows me to share my craft. It allows me to share my perspective. It allows me to uplift others. You know, money doesn't really, you know, money is like, it band-aids the problem for me. This is just my perspective, you know?
You think?
Yeah, you know, but whereas if I could teach you how to like, take care of yourself as opposed to like band-aid the issue with money, like you'll never need money because you'll always know how, whether it's clothes, food, like if you don't know how to make it, you'll know how to like get it from somewhere.
Yeah, it's like you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I don't know if that's the expression, but it's like you teach somebody to fish. Yeah. They can feed themselves. Too. Yeah,
teach them to fish. You know, like you don't give them fish.
Yeah.
You're solving a problem for a moment. We need longevity with solution, you know, and that's where I want to be at, like with everything we do.
How big is your KOI team right now?
It's 4 of us right now.
Wow, 4 of us.
But the thing about it is the community, it's like there's no KOI without the community. So it is 4 of us in terms of like every day, but like in terms of how many people, I can even think of off the top of my head that KOI wouldn't even have been able to happen without. Is like, you know,
that played a part in the journey.
Yeah, it played a huge part in the journey.
Because you guys were established in 2016, right?
Yes.
So it's still really early on
we'll be 5 years this May 5th.
Wow, that's a big celebration.
Yeah, man.
What are you gonna do?
It doesn't even feel like it. We're actually doing a thing called Love Week.
Love Week.
Yeah, and we're doing a bunch of collaborations with a whole bunch of different like brands and not on like a trendy collab thing. It's more like a unionship, you know, in terms of like how we can work together and help uplift the community and just bring like a joyous vibe. You know? And thank our community for supporting us, honestly, because we wouldn't be here without them.
100%. What are some like plans that you have for KOI? Is there a vision that you want to take it to, or a place that you want to take it to, or you just kind of like taking it as it goes, and you built this amazing community and this amazing brand, and you're just gonna continue doing what you're doing?
Yeah, I think it's just continue doing what we're doing and like trying to be a part of like, because the thing is, it's like, I know for businesses and stuff, you're supposed to have like exiting strategies. I've been thinking about that, but just like, I never really see an exit. I see like playing different roles or, you know, stepping back from certain roles, but you know, again, it's like basketball. Like after you retire, do you necessarily stop being a part of basketball? You might stop playing it, but that doesn't mean you're not a part of it. And I think that's how I like looking at, you know, the business is like, I may not be the designer designing everything eventually, you know, but I'm okay with it because I'm part of the conversation, you know, and it's remembering that this is what I've built with my brother and my team and my family.
Yeah, it's like your baby.
Yeah, you know, like, and the baby got to go off and walk. Me and Danny always talk about like the brand is always bigger than us. That was the first thing we said, like from jump, is like, this thing is going to be, it is bigger than us, but it's going to be bigger than us. Cause at the time, no one understood it. So it was pretty small, but yeah, it's like, when I think of Kids of Immigrants, the first thing I think about are the people. It's like, and I did a lot of work. I remember when we first started, like we both did a lot of work. When it first started, for the first year, for the 52 weeks, was like every week it was a new design. And
Wow.
like, so it's like if we
That's a
made
lot of work.
24 hoodies that had immigrants and multicolors, that means I went to the art store. I used the homies art store, little discount, helped with the paint.
Okay.
Came back and I did 24 of those hoodies. Like I am,
Wow.
and like with letters and layers, and then like we sold that, and then next week it was like.
So you don't restock these designs. It's more
not
like,
for the first 52 weeks. Like
Okay.
that was a lot of those are one-on-ones. A lot of those were just like, they honestly were more so art, because the idea wasn't like the functionality of the piece or the longevity of the graphic. It was more so the intent and like the concept, and like it felt more like I was creating like paintings as opposed to like hoodies.
Yeah.
You know,
just merch or
yeah, you know what I mean? And like I felt like the people felt that too. And then, you know, every week Danny's orchestrating like this person coming here, this person shooting that, this is going up online, and like he's doing his magic. And we did that every single week.
Sheesh.
Like, and the thing about that though is like the obsession got us to a certain level faster, because it sounds like a lot, but like no, it is a lot. But what it does to help people engage with your process. And I think that's what my goal is. My goal is to share my process with people and hope that they can take something from it.
Okay.
You know, so it's like every single week, it may be a lot, because we both had 9 to 5s. So it's like, it wasn't like, it's just like we sit down all day and don't do anything. But those were good times. I don't even when I think about it, I don't think about the hardship of it.
You were just creating.
Yo, like we had another friend named Jordan that was helping us, and we had some interns that came in, and my roommate Adam at the time, and it's just like there were so many. I'm a big anime fan and a big storytelling fan, so like just to help like understand my mindset is like, when I'm going through hardship, I love looking at it like it's just a part of my story.
Okay.
You know, I love looking at like, you know, at one time this is going to sound crazy, but at one time I was homeless in San Francisco. Lightweight self-inflicted, because I for sure could have called my parents. I'm not going to act like I didn't have parents that wanted me there. But just at that time, I felt like I needed to feel that energy. I needed to understand that I could take care of myself and figure shit out myself. Yeah, bro, like
I can see this same concept that you're talking about apparent in other parts of your life too, because you taking your hardships as like lesson points are part of your journey. Like one, helps you accept them more, but two, it's like that's how you thought about the jobs too. Like you were working earlier. Remember, it's just like you wanted them to serve you in later parts of your life, just like you want your hardships to serve you in later parts of life. You know what I mean? I feel like you kind of use them in similar ways.
Facts,
right?
And it's all part of the story, man.
Yeah,
like
you say that with a smile on your face too.
Yeah, bro, because
it.
because the bottom is actually not it is a bad place, but once you realize you are in it, it's nothing but up.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like in that upward, that process of going up is like the devotion and the commitment you give to it, and to be able to see, it's like committing to a plant and then you get to see it bloom. It's like, yo, that feeling is like, it's unexplainable for me, you know. Like there's no product I'm gonna be able to buy that's gonna give me that feeling.
Yeah.
And once I learned that, it's like okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to talk my crazy talk of positivity with the people. And like I'm supposed to just hear people smile, bro. Like you keep smiling. The homie that was here before, it's like to not know you, but to see you smile is like, bro, it does a lot for me. For a person like me, being at these different points in my life, it just makes me proud that I went through those points. You know, it makes me proud to understand that like anyone else who's going through that, there's a way out, or it's a transitioning. Like understand that this feeling is not forever. or this feeling is painful, but it's making you stronger.
Yeah, because every person has had their own struggle with this or journey with it. So the fact that they can still smile in that way, that means a lot to you then, right?
Yeah, and it connects with the whole, like, so being the Liberian background for me, the Africa background, and not really being able to go out there, like growing up was like a big thing for me. So I like always felt dislodged from my heritage in a way. But at the same time, every time I would see photos, like, you know, back in the days, be like, whatever cent a day can help a kid in Africa.
Yeah.
You know, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like using this because I felt like that was a horrible branding of Africa. But the funniest thing about that is, like, in all these war-torn countries and shit like that, is like the joy that I see from the children, like the smiles, is like, to come from a place of pain or to have like injustices happening and to still have like that purity that of happiness and joy and smiles, like I just want to live in that, bro. Like that, and I want people to like have that no matter what point in life they're at, you know. Like when I use the homeless thing because I it sounds like bad, but like those are some of the like life-defining moments for me. I still see those practices or me getting through that struggle in me today, and like how it's helping other people.
Really?
Yeah. Like I
because you have empathy. Do you feel like it gives you more empathy?
For sure. Like the goal for me is like I truly believe my relationship with, you know, the creator, God, or the universe is like, if God, in my mind, if God is everything and everywhere, then, and I want to be closer to God or understanding God, then how do I get that wide of a perspective or that omnipresence of understanding? It's like, I have got to like see the world from multiple people's eyes. So like everyone's trials and tribulations are just options for me to see what life could be, you know?
Yeah.
And like, and when I can see it for what it is, it's actually really beautiful because it's not promised.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like a good life, I don't know what a good life is anymore. You know, what I do know is a good life to me is me being happy, seeing people that I engage with happy, joy, you know, talking to my mother and hearing her smile, or, you know, she's on the Facebook now and I didn't know I posted on Instagram and then went to Facebook and she hit me like, oh, I love you. Like, oh, you know, and it's like, that's what, like, that made me feel so good. Like for my mom to like,
That's interesting. So it's like you may not know what happiness is, but you know the things that do make you happy.
yeah,
That's
for sure.
That's really
and if they make me happy, I know they make other people happy because I'm only a human being. I'm not special.
Yeah.
So it's like when we take the whole me being special thing out of it, then more time than none, the things I'm interested in, other people are interested in. It's just we all are in an environment that helps us keep that consistent passion to where we can follow through and be a part of it. But hopefully people can at least get a little bit from me and then they take it further on their own way.
Yeah, for sure. I got to use the restroom real quick.
For sure.
I'll be right back.
No, you're good. I mean, I know a lot of people that love the grind, honestly, like.
I love the grind.
Especially a lot of athletes, a lot of people that transition out of athletics into like business that I know. It's like,
especially if you went through JUCO too. I don't know if you watched the Last Chance U basketball one.
Of course,
that
bro.
was such a good season.
Bro, that wasn't Laney. That was LA, right?
East LA.
Yeah. But Laney was before that.
For football, yeah. I like that they did the basketball edition too.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was.
It took me back. See, that took me back to like JUCO days. Like, even though I played a year.
That's the real JUCO is Cali, because you don't get the scholarships, you don't get the meals, you don't get the housing. Like, you literally are on your own. I remember when I went to Mount Sac. I don't know if you Mount Sac JUCO.
Okay.
It's in the greater Los Angeles area, but bro, there would be 6 or 7 of us living in a two bedroom apartment, like eating peanut butter jellies to survive type shit.
But there was 3 of us in my apartment, and you had to go through the homies' room to get to the bathroom. Bro, we were making it work, but again, like. Those things, you want to know what's funny is like those stories. When I say I'm not into basketball, those stories aren't what I mean. Like those stories were what kept me into basketball.
I see, yeah.
Those relationships, like those
brotherhoods,
things, yeah, like
basically
experience with other young people trying to figure it out, and like,
yeah,
that shit was fun, bro.
It really was.
It sounded like a many situation because it was, but it was fun.
Would you explain it to somebody like, yeah, there were 6, 7 of us living in a place. We were living off peanut butter jelly sandwiches. We
ramen noodles, Cheez-Its, like,
yeah, but it was fun.
But it was fun, bro. Like, cause we were figuring it out. Like,
yeah.
The experiences, bro. One thing I learned about life, bro, is never run away from the experience or the struggle, because it's just you're running away from lessons. Like
Yeah.
like they're all just obstacles. What was I saying? It's like, you know, um, problems are just obstacles with options. Obstacles are options for opportunities. Yeah, that's
Oh, I
all it
like
was.
that. I never heard that before.
We were talking and I just came up, but I feel like it was also too for me just listening to people.
3 O's.
Yeah, but I feel like it's true, you know.
Like you have to go through the struggle, and I feel like you're really conscious, so you realize that like, okay, this is an obstacle, this is a struggle. Let me just work through it, and experience it, because it's gonna make me stronger and build my mindset moving forward and serve me later. Like
Yeah.
I feel like you look at everything as it's gonna serve me later.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, if you see it, like when people are like, oh, I can't change the world, or like, I want to make change. It's like, if you don't acknowledge the obstacles, you're denying the opportunity to change anything.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the funny thing is like with people sometimes it's like, yo, I wish I could change, or like, I want to be able to do this. But it's like, all you have to do is just like, approach the obstacle, approach the problem. Through that approach, through that process, you'll eventually get the solution or an understanding that allows you to keep moving through it.
Yeah. So since you're so conscious and you seem like a happy person at this point in your life, like, do you still experience struggles, and if so, what are some of those struggles, and how do you deal with them?
Yeah, I think I experienced struggle, but I think a lot more of it's coming from just understanding how to be consistent with my purpose, if I could say. Like, it's like, maybe it's not being consistent with my purpose. Maybe that was said wrong. I think it's more, what does my purpose plan out to? Like the unknown, and being okay with that. I think that's what I used to struggle with it. I think I'm okay with it now, but it's still a process of like not knowing what's next,
Yeah.
I think that's for everyone though, especially at this time.
Yeah, for sure. It's such a weird time in life.
Yeah, but and honestly, like when I say happy, I think again it's because my state of mind. I'm trying to shift it, because I do have problems. I for sure have problems that can like knock me on my ass and like have me feeling crazy. But again, I think it's like anything. It's like it's an opportunity to just show how strong I am to get through it. Like anything that's I feel like the problems that are in my life are brought upon by me or the universe. Either way, it's
like the uncontrollables.
Yeah, bro, it's to better myself. It's my story. I can either be the victim of my story or I can be the victor of my story.
Ooh,
I'd rather
like that.
like overcome all the odds.
Yeah.
That even that shit alone is like a movie. It's like, oh damn, like I always pair things with like movies
Cinematic.
or cartoons and stuff. It's just like, yeah, one of my favorite movies, Pursuit of Happiness. It's like,
yeah, that's a good one.
It's such a like good thing to see a person just like be able to go through all that and still like succeed.
Yeah.
And succeed isn't like, oh, he's like life was over once he got to that goal, but it was like that actually continued after that, because the process was instilling these tools and these perspectives that are going to allow him to, what I believe we're here for is to gain it and then to transfer, transition, give it to the next, like however you want to look at it. So the better I'm getting, hopefully I get better at expressing and exchanging it with others, because I just want to take it as far as I can.
Yeah.
That's all we can do. Like, I'm not going to live forever. So it's like, although I may not understand it now, let's see how far I could take this misunderstanding, and then someone else is going to take it from there.
Yeah, I love that, being the victor or the victim. You could choose that, because I think it's so important to not be a victim, or like not put yourself in the victim mindset in life, because I have people like that are close to me in my life that I see that in, as far as like being the victim, putting yourself in a victim mindset. And I feel like when you do that, you give whatever it is that's causing you to be in that victim mindset, it has the power over you, like you, and only that thing or that person can lift that, like I don't that weight off of you. You know what I mean? Because you're no longer in control of your well being at that point, because that's having such an impact on you.
Exactly.
I don't know if that makes sense,
No,
but
it does.
Yeah, I don't ever like to be the victim of something. I'm more just like, how can I control this feeling that I'm having, and moving forward, like, what can I do to make myself be happy again in this situation? Like, I'm more focused on like what I can do to make it better than like being in that victim mindset, because you can be stuck in that victim mindset for a long time. And yeah, bro, like
the perspective is everything, man. Like once I understood that, then like I started really experiencing like what I felt is true joy to myself.
Okay.
It's like I just needed my perspective to switch. It needed to be more so a thing of like, this is my journey and where I'm at in my journey. I've got to focus on that. But because once I start looking to my left or my right or up or down or front or back and to the neighbor, then I start judging my dream, and it's like,
it's very easy to do that nowadays with social media.
Yeah. And it's like, let them be them, like for all you know, that might not even be them. They might be really good at showing someone else's journey as their own. But like, it's not for you to even, understand that. It's what you're here for is to understand like what makes you happy, what about that happiness you can share with others, and then, do it for as long as you can. Cause again, tomorrow's not promised. Yeah. Especially now, it's like, that's been on my head a lot. It's like just death, but not in a bad way, just more so in like just a natural process.
Why has it been on your mind lately?
I mean, just with the COVID thing, like, I mean, even going home and like my parents, like having the news on and all that's about like, the death toll, the death toll, the death toll. And it's like,
and there's a lot of artists that have died lately, like DMX.
Exact that stuff, just everything, a lot of it. But me even more so, again, it's not, I'll take that more darker perspective, and how do I flip that to more of a lighter thing? And it's like, it's just appreciate the time I have. It's not about I could die tomorrow. It's more like I could die tomorrow. So what am I gonna do till then? Like an acceptance of like that is like, I think it's healthy. We all gonna transition at some point. And that's a natural process of life, just like getting old, growing gray hair, all that type of stuff. Like, it's not anything to be afraid of. I think it makes the time we have more precious to change that whole perspective of like, I work for money, like, no. You work for what money's going to bring you. So you want the resource. Let's find a way to get you the resource to where you don't have to work so much. Cause I get it, the working too, I came from a family where my mom worked 3 jobs. My dad worked 2-3 jobs, like, it's an amazing thing to say, but at the same time, like, I know my mom and dad wish they could spend more time with me. Yeah. If they had a choice. Yeah. So I understand working hard is good, but like at the same time, I understand how much like spending time with family is good too.
Finding that balance, would you say?
I think it is finding balance, but I don't think society is balanced. So it's out of balance. Like it's like, it's finding what's good for you. And being okay with it, like accepting that, like, I become accepting with the life I have, meaning like, I'm not going to get mad at myself if I can't see someone or I can't do something because of like, I'm devoted to, or I'm committed to, or this is what life has for me now to be able to increase tomorrow. Time is the most valuable thing ever. So I'm just learning how to deal with my time more and trying to deprogram, and I've been saying this thing, we program. Like, I'm really trying to get back into this thought, or program myself into this thought of the collective, Okay. And like, it may sound funny again, but it's like the deeper I go into my craft, the more I feel like I'm understanding and being able to give more to the collective. Yeah. So, which to me is really funny, because it's like I have to go away to create for the people. And I always had that like weird, like, damn, like I don't spend a lot of time with people outside of like my close knit people, but you know, everything that I'm doing is to like connect with everyone I can. Like I'm trying to get as many stories and understandings and perspectives so that it all goes into work and people could take from it, like take something, just anything little.
Yeah. And get something out of it.
Yeah, and use it like immediately. Like, you know, I felt like in school growing up, I wish I had more tools that I was able to use immediately, you know, in my daily life as a kid. Like, I really wish nothing was there. You know, everything was like it felt like a more, wait till you get this age or wait till you do that. Or it's like, you know what I mean? And it's like, I wish, like, I looked at it like this too. It's like, I wish that when I was doing math homework, it was helping my family do something. Like instead of doing math homework and my dad having to get out of his way to like help me with math, why don't I take what I learned for this last 6 to 8 hours in school and apply it to helping my dad so that he can spend less time working and spend more time loving with me.
Yeah.
Or my mom, or, you know, my brothers and my sisters and all this stuff.
Yeah, that's a good question to pose too. Like, why can't we do that? Why do we have to do these traditional like methods in school rather than doing things like that? Well, and secondly, why don't you have the option to be able to do what you want to do in that sense? Then you know what I mean. Like you're forced to.
Yeah, and you know it has to get done, and you know these parents don't have the extra resources, the extra money to get an accountant. So they have to do it. And balancing checkbooks was a thing. I remember I heard this kid is like, oh yeah, I balanced my parents' checkbooks. But it was like, when I heard that, I was like, it felt so alien to me. I was like, hold on, you balance your parents' checkbooks? Like, and when he explains, like, yeah, the math is the math. This isn't no crazy, like, you know, that's not calculus.
Yeah.
It's addition, subtraction, multiplication, division.
Yeah.
You know, it's stuff we're doing in school. Like, but because of the way life happened and the way society was, that wasn't an option. That wasn't a thing, you know, but that thing would have helped my family.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it would have been able to at least ease the workload on my parents, you know, outside of just like doing chores around the house. It's like, if I have to do math, the math I have to do, we can direct it to helping or focus it on helping my family. Mm-hmm. So we're not this like, you know, overworked parent, so exhausted that you can't, you know, when you're finally off work. And my parents are super parents, because even with that, they still tried to do the most they could, and they did a lot.
Yeah, and that's important too, to think like you have the outlook that you're blessed, and you can either look at it two ways. You can look at it like, damn, my parents like people from the outside looking in, like it could be like, oh, they weren't there for me as much because they were working so much. Or it's like they did all they could. They did the best that they could. And I feel like that's the best way to look at it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because the reason why they work so hard is so they could give you the opportunities that you have now, you know? Exactly. And being a kid of an immigrant, like that's their dream, is for you to live your dream.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. They showed their love. Like my mom tells me she loved me a lot. Like I love my mom. My dad, not so much on that end, but like I always tell people, that man never has to tell me any word like that ever. You know, he tells me he cares in his own way.
Yeah.
You know, like, and he as he gets older, it gets a little bit more on the softer side of that expression. But, you know, for the most part, like the things he's done, I mean, we wouldn't be in America without that man.
Really?
You feel me? So it's like, that's why I always, when I heard people about like, oh, why don't you, you know, verbalize, you tell me you love me, or, you know, check on your friends. Like, I get it. I think that's cool. But at the same time, I come from a background that like we worked and it separated us for so long that like when we had time to spend together, we didn't have time to ask, why didn't you call me? You know, it's like, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, I want to know where you're at right now. Like, I'm happy that you're here right now, because the way life works, nothing's promised, you know? So like, why am I so worried about you not calling me when like I have you here in this time and I can get all the knowledge and all the life you've experienced, and like acknowledge your importance through you being able to explain your journey to me. You know, I think that's love to me. Like that, I learned that's how I show love. That's how I'm there for people. It's like when I'm with people, I'm fully with people. I'm there. Like, I don't know how to talk about the Lakers. You feel me? Like,
yeah.
Like, I want to know, like, how are you doing? You know, like, yeah, just deeper things that you probably, most people don't talk. They don't have anyone to talk to these. The craziest thing with the COVID shit is like, I understood how many people felt like they didn't have anyone they could really talk to about real things, like vulnerable things.
And you felt like
I
the
live in it, though.
pandemic like exposed that.
Oh
in a
yeah,
sense.
for sure. You have no choice. Like, what else are you gonna do? You can't cover with the club. You can't cover it with, like, you know,
You can't
a
medicate,
day party.
self-medicate it.
You feel me? You can't do that. Like, you gotta face it. And a lot of that facing for certain people was really hard. But the beauty of it is when those people get past that and they become vulnerable, they can I hope they can connect with me or someone like me that is willing and ready to hear them out and exchange experiences so that they understand, like, where they're at is just, it's just this moment. It's an understanding to understand what direction you could take or how you can become better or how you can make this person's life better. You know, again, it's an obstacle turning into an option for opportunities to make someone better.
Yeah. And to go back to the love part, like everybody has different love languages, like the way they show love and the way they want to receive love.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So if you're listening or watching this, like what works for Weleh may not work for you. It's all like subjective to who you are, right? Like,
yeah. But those people like me, I want them to hear. That's who I'm saying it for. I've learned to, like, not try to hold my tongue because, like, I'm worried about someone not connecting.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That's
what
important.
you know, because I feel like sometimes people feel like, well, I don't want to leave anyone out. It's like, it's not about, like, sometimes you thinking leaving someone out has nothing to do with where they're at right now. They probably haven't even been through that thing to connect. So, like, I can't worry about them, like, doing that. I'm actually taking away from the people that are just like me that could really use this at this moment. You know, like,
could you relay that to your brand for Kids of Immigrants? Because, like, some people may not be able to relate to it, but that's okay because there's a pocket of people that do relate to it, and
facts.
you want to be able to connect with them. Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what we started Kids of Immigrants with, and that's why even with my own self practice right now, like, I have like a independent, like, project that I'm doing right now, and a lot of that is like, I just literally write. Well, I do it in a graphic way, but I write quotes that come to my head or things I've heard from other, like, people, philosophers, mothers, teachers, fishermen, dirt bike, you know, like, just people that, like, have this wide empathetic perspective, and, like, that's just, yeah, that's where I'm at with it.
It's called Studio Weleh, right?
Yeah,
that's what
what
it is.
Yeah, and it's just like, I remember feeling weird about, like, having to, yeah, it's called Studio Weleh, but I remember feeling weird about, like, putting up these posts and being like, I don't want to be seen as, like, this fake optimistic person and, like, but, like, no, in all actuality, when shit is going wrong in my life, I'm really trying to look at it from an optimistic or, like, an uplifting perspective. I have to. I don't know when that switch happened, but that's where I'm at. And I've learned that that's what I like it, but I want to try to bring it to other people. Like, even, like, going into the office or something, like, I always want to go into the office with energy. You know what I mean? Like, even, like, hugs, like, bro, I really pride myself on giving a good hug. Like, that shit sounds, it's stuff that people don't think about, especially now. 'Cause, like, you know, like, just the temperature, but, like, bro, a hug can, like, bro, I've literally seen it change a person's day. Just my energy, like, wanting to give them my energy.
It's contagious.
Bro, it's like, it just shows you how disconnected we are as people.
Yeah.
You know, like, I was just back home and I was helping this lady, this older Asian lady, and it was just like, the love that came from us working together, because my mom, she was doing something with her shop, and I'm there for my mom, so I'm doing everything with my brother. Well, we're always there for my mom as a family, so we're working. And, like, I think us working so hard for my mom made the lady really, like, just, like, appreciate me. And, like, you know, for the whole time it was the COVID thing and the gloves and da-da-da-da. And I remember when I was leaving, she hugged me like 3 times, you know, and told me she loved me. She don't even know me.
Wow.
But it was literally just from, like, the energy I was bringing to the situation. Nobody wanted to be there cleaning out a shop or doing any of this shit, you know? But, like, the fact that I want to come, I'm doing it with a smile. I'm like, I'm trying to, you know, I'm not a comedian, but I love, like, happiness. So I'm, like, trying to make little jokes here and there. I'm trying to make it easy on her. Like, and I think, again, it wasn't about, like, my payout was her saying that And I use that story, like, that's my payout. That's like, I'm investing so later on I could tell someone like you, like, yo, this is what happened to me in Sac. This is when I'm hearing things on the news and from other people about like what's going on in the world. This is something that I could put into that conversation that hopefully steers it out of this like super low frequency, depressing, like, what's wrong with the world, as opposed to like an uplifting, like, this is also going on in the world. You know, like all this is going on, but like this is this is going on in the neighborhood I'm from and the people I know are connected to. So like, let's focus on this because we need more of this. We don't need more of the other shit.
Facts. Yeah. And it's crazy, such a small interaction and time in your life can have such a big impact. You know what I mean? Like it was a very short time that probably happened, and it wasn't as significant of an interaction, but it had a huge impact. You know what I mean?
Huge, bro. Because again, it's like this lady doesn't know me. You know, and it's like, so the thing about me is like when people don't, like, I want to pride myself on bringing that positive, good energy. So when people like put that to me, like I feel good.
Yeah.
Like it helps all this anxiety and all this unknown shit that I was talking about. It's like, it helps it. It's like my drug. It's like my therapist. Like someone might have done some super foul shit to me and I might like dislike people. And then even, it doesn't help that someone did some foul shit to me and then I'm about to go 16 hours in a room and like listen to like people trying to overcome their pain struggles while trying to make things without the tools that like, without the best tools, so to speak. Yeah, bruh. Like, it's alchemy. You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, I remember driving out here. I keep bouncing around, but I was driving out here to LA from Oakland, and like the book I read was The Alchemist. Like, well, it was an audio book, so I was just.
I need to read that.
Bro,
a lot of people keep recommending it.
Bro, I feel like an alchemist, bro. I feel like I could take the most forgotten or like beat up thing or like, not even like aware of thing and like make it visible, make it happy, make it a sense of pride. You know, I feel like, you know, I can make mistakes miraculous, you know, feel miraculous, because it's just taking something that's, you know, for lack of a better whatever metaphor, it's taking lemons, turn them into lemonade, or a coal and turning it into diamond. You know, it's just like, I truly feel like I can do that.
Yeah.
You know, but I was never taught that. Like I felt like I got to such a low space that I only could look up. And I love the visuals of that just because, like, again, I'm a visual person and I love like the optimism of it. It's just, I can look up always. I don't ever have to look down anymore. Cause I'm down. I'm at the bottom. Like, and just, it's just that perspective switch you need, you know, and I feel like I've lived in it for so long that when I express it, people have an actual invitation to their own engagement with the bottom or whatever their bottom is too. Cause we all got different bottoms. We're all different people. It's not for me to judge your bottom and you to judge mine. It's just to understand that we're there and how do we get the fuck out of here? Yeah.
You know? I fuck with that, man. Like that whole positivity wave. Cause that's what my whole brand and podcast is about. It's called Ambiance, which is the character and feeling of an atmosphere or place. And that's why I always incorporate this plus sign with my logo and everything that I do, because it's about having positive energy and positive vibes with everything that I do. And I think it's important to incorporate that in your brand. And like, I could tell the audience obviously isn't that large, but the people that are in it are part of that energy too. You know what I mean? They want to have that in their life. So I always appreciate having guests on like you that live that, you know what I mean? Because I've had a lot of guests on and I like to think a lot of them do into that, but you like live that shit. Like
that scares me sometimes though.
Why?
I think that scares me because I was consistently told that you couldn't do that. I was consistently told that you couldn't trust people. I was consistently told that it was only about the money, that anyone that was going to do business with you was looking to fuck you over. Like all these things are like repetitively told to me by others, and they're coming from a place of love or place of like a protection, or you know. So, but to like really live in it and to like finally see the fruits of that nurturing to that idea like manifesting is like, bro. Again, there's no there's no material I'm going to be able to buy that's going to give me that feeling.
Yeah.
And like, I'm super blessed because my parents have places to live and like things of that nature. So I'm not trying to take out people who are in like a super struggle. But just for where I'm at right now, it's just like, if it's like it's an amazing feeling that I don't have to think about money as the motive that gets me out of bed.
Yeah.
You know, it just doesn't. Like creativity, like what could happen, experience is like, bro, that shit is.
So with that being said, when you wake up, what do you look forward to doing? Like, what drives you?
I wake up to seeing the sun. That's the first thing. Is like I try to wake up between four. I mean, on normal basis, I'm like 4:30 to like 6. My body just wakes up at that time. But I really would like to wake up on more the 4 o'clock side.
Okay.
Because they say it's like this like special time between 4 and 6 is like a super creative time.
Wow.
Anyway, that's just something I heard and that's what I believe. So I want to put it into practice. But yeah, like that's my first thing in the morning is try to wake up to the sun. Try to just spend as much time in my thoughts as I want. You know, I don't feel rushed. That's why 4 o'clock is like, people are like, damn, why you wake up so early? Because it's like the earlier I wake up, the more time I have to myself. So if I wake up at 6, most people that I know that are close around me wake up at 7. So that's only an hour for myself. But if I wake up at 4, that's good 3 hours. You know, a lot of my other homies are waking up at 8, 9, 10. I got homies that wake up at 11. That's a little late. But like, you know, like I feel like I've done my due to connect with like this thing that we call life, my experience, and like to appreciate it and to like validate it and, you know, manifest those things that I really want in my life that, you know, or to manifest my own self-awareness and like that was probably one of the biggest things that my transition from sports to art was like becoming self-aware. That and I didn't have anyone who was teaching me how to do it. You know, the way I would do it was like the ladies I would date would be my therapist in a way. Cause like they had the ability to take the vulnerability out of me to be able to project it. And then I can now observe it.
Okay.
You know, like I didn't really go to a therapist for that. I just needed someone to give me an outside perspective on myself so that I can observe myself. Is it objective or subjective?
I think if it's somebody else that's viewing you, then it's objectively. Like if you're stepping outside yourself looking at it.
Yeah, I'm trying to step out of myself and look at myself. So I needed someone else to soundboard like what, like my nature, my being. Like so, I always use. It's kind of selfish now I think about it, but I always use people as like sounding boards to try to get an understanding of like who I was, and that got me closer to becoming more self-aware of what I want. And then when I became more self-aware, that self-awareness turned into understanding like how to love myself. And then that started me on the journey of like doing all these different things, whether it's like I'm talking to you about trying to build bikes with the homie I know and this other thing. So it's like, I think self-awareness, and that's something I don't see with a lot of people, you know, hype culture. I'm not the person, I hate when people like try to kill this whole hype culture and hype. The word hype is not a bad word to me by any means. But I will say that like, I wish there was more self-awareness in that landscape.
What do you mean by that?
Because I just feel like sometimes people buy things based on other people buying things. They're not buying it based on how it's like value, bringing value to their own life. And I know it could be like, well, they're bringing value because they're part of that culture, but like, hopefully they are. But I know a lot of people that are just doing it because it's the thing to do. It's it's the trendy thing that, you know, you see in, you know, on this person and that person, you're trying to be on trend, you know, like. Yeah,
I see what you're saying. So it's like, with relating that to being self-aware, it's like you're creating an image of yourself that's not necessarily who you are. And like, it's okay to buy something that's quote unquote hype if you're doing it because it's like you truly want it.
You're aware of that. This is what this is bringing value to me.
And I'm expressing myself through this piece of clothing rather than like creating an image for you. You know what I mean?
Yes, to hide your truth.
Okay, yeah.
Because a lot of people, I don't trying to put blanket statements on people, but people that I've come into contact with use a lot of those things to blanket or to throw under the rug those feelings or those understandings of that part of their life, you know? And I think, again, you know, we keep bringing COVID up, but that was one of those things, is like those things that people were trying to usually cover didn't have, there's no more cover. There's nowhere, you can't go to the club. You can't, you know, do this or that. So I think it just kind of made them face those things. And like, I'm not trying to shoot shots at anyone by any means. I just think, again, it's like I'm trying to notice people that I want to bring into a state of happiness with where they are and who they are in life. And that doesn't help at times, because like when you don't get that next drop, or, you know, you don't have the ability to do these things, then you get to a state of like, what's wrong with me? And there's nothing wrong with you. You know, you just don't get that product. That's okay. Life is going to continue.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's fair to say, man, because I experienced that in my own ways during COVID. I had to reevaluate a lot of things that I held as, or deemed as important in my own mind. And whether that's like family or just everybody did this. Everybody reevaluated what was going on in their life. Mm-hmm. So I think it's fair to say that like a lot of people did feel that way, and like in certain aspects, you know what I mean, in their own way.
Yeah.
Though we're gonna end this pretty soon. I feel like we could go for hours, bro.
Yeah, bro. Like, bro, however you need to do it, man. I'm here. I really like. I want to say, I know you're tied up, but I appreciate you having me here. Like, I appreciate the fact, like, you're literally the first person that I've been on in a setting like this that I've actually like had to like look back at my life.
That's love, man.
So I appreciate that. So just, you know, forewarning, if my conversations sound like circles, I mean, I'm aware of that also, but two, it's mostly because like I never really dove that deep into like my journey. I've literally just been trying to look forward and not look back too much, because it's like, you know. Yeah,
there's no rules to this shit, man. Like, that's how I like this podcast to be too. We could talk about a certain thing I don't want it to be an interview. It's an organic conversation. Yeah. And that's exactly what this has been. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, this is something I learned in college too, is that like, you shouldn't be able to answer something like off the dome, especially if you're truly listening to what the other person is saying. You know what I mean? It takes time to articulate your thoughts and project them through your words. Yeah. Like, it shouldn't be as easy as just like, I'm going to answer what you're saying, like right off the bat, especially if you're giving it thoughtful words, you know what I mean? So I think everything that you talked about and explained was very valuable. And thank you, bro. Honestly, like this was awesome. Really.
Thank you,
appreciate
man.
It.
Thank you, bro. Like, again, everything you're doing is dope. Like, I'm happy I'm here, and you feel like what I'm doing is of some importance to you.
Yeah.
You know, like, cause that's all, like, bro, that shit makes me happy, man. Like, again, it's like, when I'm not here anymore, as I think I want to say this for people, is like, we're not here forever. So if you can fast forward to the time when you're not here, maybe you don't care about what people have to say about this experience that you had as a life. You know, maybe you don't, but I do. And I really want people to not like have it be like, oh, he was just the coolest designer or like the coolest that. I really want people to be like, yo, he was like a super dope, happy person. Like,
yeah,
he was hella funny. He made me smile. Like, he made me think about things that I thought I had forgotten or I thought weren't important. You know, he made me feel like I could be myself, because when I expressed to him, he heard, he was listening, and he was not judging. Like, all those things I want to be on my, like, on people's mental about me, because once eventually we're all going to be forgotten, but those people that do remember, I hope they take that piece of me and it helps push them forward in their own life progression.
So your legacy is not so much about what you did, it's about how you made people feel.
Yeah, for sure. Because what I do is what I'm going to do. What I do, you know, that's one thing people cannot not make me do. I'll create whenever I want. I'm going to do whatever I want, but I hope that what I do, with that commitment to that perspective, I hope that those things that I'm committing to can allow people to just accept themselves more. Because, like, again, like, for me to get to this point, I had to accept that I'm human. I had to accept that, like, mistakes are actually part of the human process. It's not me being a failure or not hitting a mark. It's just, like, the process of life encompasses failure. And I wish there was another word for it, but yeah, bro, it's just like, it's part of your growth. Like,
yeah,
you have to fail to grow.
Mm-hmm. Losses aren't losses; they're lessons, right?
Facts. They're actually blessings.
They're blessings. Okay.
So I hear you, bro. No, it's one and the same, bro.
Yeah.
Like, lessons are blessings. I only said that because I made some shit like that a long time ago. But it's like,
Fire.
again, you see, like minds. But yeah, man, like, enjoy your journey, no matter how hard it is. It's your journey to enjoy. I just always remember that. You know, it's not something you have to do. It's something you get to do, and yeah, just appreciate it.
I love it. Let's end on that. Where can people follow you on socials if they want to continue to follow your journey?
Socials is Weleh _CA. So it's WELEH _CA. Or the brand Kids of Immigrants. Or my independent project that I'm working on right now. It's not really independent. I don't like saying that because Danny's still working with me. I still got Debbie. I still got KOI. It's like, it's damn near the same family. It's just being able to verse things the way I want to, in a more real time thing. Because Kids of Immigrants is getting so big, but there's still these kind of conversations that, you know, you might pull out and be like, oh damn, I relate. And then the way my mind works is like, oh, he connected with that, and you're now going to be in the process of whatever I make next, whether it's a pillow, a chair, sweatshirts, collection, whatever.
Fire. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that. You see, and I love that too, is like letting you know that like what you're doing is actually coming with me. Man. That's what I'm saying. Like, I appreciate you having me here, because whether you know it or not, that next Kids of Immigrants drop, you're going to be a part of it. You're going to feel it like you do, but you'll now understand that like, we're all important, bro. Man, we're all very important, and a conversation is probably way more important at this moment. It's more important than we understand, I feel. Yeah, and the fact that this is recorded and people are going to watch and listen to this too, it scales the impact that it has on people, which is why I do this. I do it because of the people that it impacts. It's like I said earlier, like, my audience isn't huge, but it's growing, and it's steadily growing. And that's what matters to me, because of the people that reach out to let me know how impactful these conversations have been on their lives, and the amount of people that have embarked on new journeys and new arts and done things that they wouldn't have done previously. I'm not going to take credit for them doing it, but it's the fact that it impacted their life in any way is why I do this shit. So, exactly. Yeah. And you're a real person. So it's doable. Yeah. I think sometimes you might have to have a way of like discipline, because I want to ask you, but obviously we're wrapping it up. But it's like the discipline that I think more than anything, it's like you worked your way to being able to do all this. Bro, yeah. And it's like, if you see the first episode, like, to this, it's insane. But the beauty is the first episode is what will probably connect more people to your process than later. Later you'll be this amazing person, obviously, because you're killing it. Appreciate but like that. I feel like the thing that people are really going to be able to use and take with themselves is like the jump. You know, like, this shit probably wasn't easy to say, like, I want to do it. Like, it probably was a thought, and then the thought was tried, and it maybe could have failed. There's so many different things, but like the fact that you're doing it is like, man, like, I remember episode 1. Like, I remember people like be like, bro, I remember the first KOI drop. Oh, like, you know, or I remember the first, I was going under my Instagram tag, like, I remember Weleh CA. I still got some of the homies that's like, bro, was that new Weleh CA stuff coming? I'm like, I mean, it's not that, but it's like, again, it's like, it's more the feeling than the title, and like what you're doing through you committing to like what you feel like is your truth. And that's, bro, walking in your truth. That's one thing. Sorry, before we go, a statement I'm staying by, living by at this moment is I've learned to walk in my truth. Just be okay with that, because that is your superpower. Walk in your truth. Just walking. It's gonna feel heavy at first, but then like once you feel that weight, and you get used to it, get acclimated, you'll understand you're like super strong, and like you're that truth is like the key to all your happiness. Okay. All of it. I love that. We're gonna name that the title of this episode, Walking Your Truth. Fire. All right, Weleh, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you coming on. This was awesome. From Ambiance, this is Levi, Weleh. We out. Awesome. Peace.